What is going on to all my Moon Knight fans out there, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. Elliot back again, breaking down episode 4 of Moon Knight, which means we got 2 episodes left. And speaking of left, the way that they left us at the end of this episode, where do we go now? We're breaking that down and so much more all in this spoiler review. But before we get into the discussion, make sure you're checking me out on all my other social media accounts. If you all are new to the channel and love early movie reviews, TV breakdowns, and live streams, well, come and join the community today by subscribing and hitting that notification bell. As you all can see on the screen now, if you enjoyed today's discussion of episode 4 of Moon Knight, well, make sure you're liking the review, sharing the review, but more importantly, in the comments, where do you place this 4th episode? Is it your favorite? Is it somewhere in the middle? Is it your least favorite out of the 4? And speaking of 4, let's break down this 4th episode together from your favorite moments, least favorite moments, your thoughts on how they handled the horror elements, the romance, the adventure, and of course that ending. Was it all made up this whole time? Was Mark in this mental facility? Is it the afterlife? Is it something else entirely? Let's talk thoughts, theories, and predictions about this 4th episode. And of course, what you all hope to see in next week's episode in the comments below. So getting into my thoughts here, just first impressions. For me, I think episode 4 might be my 4th favorite episode of the 4 so far. I think I have episode 2, 3, and 1 above that. Now, I'm not saying that this was a terrible episode. I enjoyed the horror elements. I enjoyed the adventure. Of course, the ending is going to leave a lot to be discussed and theories, and we'll get into all that here in this review. But tonally speaking, it just didn't really work for me. It felt kind of inconsistent. And also the romance between Lila and Steven just doesn't feel, it felt forced, if I'm being honest. And we'll get into more of my thoughts and pros and cons, but this episode was just okay. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And of course, just a quick plug if you all don't know, but we go live every single Wednesday, diving deeper into the episode. And I hope you all can join us today. I'm going to leave that link in the description. It will be 5 p.m. Central Time. We'll have a live discussion diving deeper into this 4th episode. So come and join us today. But let's get into the breakdown. Full spoilers ahead as we open the episode with where we ended, which is seeing Kanju getting placed into this imprisonment. Now, the first thing that came to my mind, I'm sitting there counting. There's 9 other gods there, which begs the question, who are those other gods and what happened to them, and will they be released? Which, speaking of release, let's go ahead and free Kanju ASAP, but I wonder, will they be released by the end of this season? Let me know your thoughts on that. But getting back into Lila, who can fend for her own, she takes out Arthur's men, and this is where Steven wakes up, and I guess Steven and Mark have this in common. They like to lie to Lila as he tells her, you know, me and Mark, we made a decision, we came to an agreement. Once Kanju's off the table, that means Mark's gonna go bye-bye. And she's like, you know, that does sound like something Mark would do, not let me know that he's gonna be gone now. So she says, you know what, let's go ahead and team up together. Me and you, Steven, can figure this out on our own, which I'm not gonna lie, I 100% missed the fact that we didn't get Moon Knight, we didn't get Mr. Knight, and we still don't know who that third identity is. So that was some things that I really wish that we got more of in this episode. I know it wasn't nighttime. I know Kanju's in prison, but I hope that they go ahead again. Hashtag free Kanju ASAP so we can get more Moon Knight, Mr. Knight, and eventually find out who that third identity is. But getting into one of the things that I definitely was not a fan of, Marvel in their romance department. It seems so forced all the time. The only romance that I genuinely buy in the MCU is what we get. Number 1 is Steve and Peggy. From there, I would say Tony and Pepper, you know, MJ and Peter, and I would say Peter Quill and Moore was fine, but everyone else to me just feels so like flat and feels forced, especially to set the scene up here. They make their way to the tomb. We have Lila saying, oh, you smell like Mark, like does the same body, but neither here nor, and she acknowledges that. But then we see that she's going in to kiss. Like, first and foremost, what at any of this, why is any of this romantic to any of you all out there? Like, why is she wants to kiss him where they're about to put their lives on the line to find this tomb to save the world? It felt so misplaced and it felt out of place if you ask me. But we see, you know, Steven being the bumbling, nervous individual. He stops her. He says, out of nervousness, Mark just wants to protect you from Kanju, and that's why he's pushing you away, because Kanju wants to use you for an avatar. And she's like, why does he do this, that, and the other? And then ultimately they kiss. I'm like, at what point at all is this romantic, ladies and gentlemen? Again, it felt very forced to me. I guess I might be the only one that feels that way. I like Layla as a character. but the romance and the chemistry between Mark and her and Steven, this to me, I know it's meant to feel forced, or not feel forced, but meant to feel kind of awkward between her and Steven, because Steven's an awkward individual, but I'm just not buying the chemistry between all three of them as a trio, if I'm being honest. But hey, I might be on an island on that. Let me know your thoughts on all that. Did it feel a little forced? I think it did, but let's move on as they discover the Eye of Horus, which is important because, as they mentioned, Horus is the protector of the afterlife, which I think that's where Steven and Mark is, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But as they move on, they ultimately do find and discover Ahmed, and as they further move on, as a horror fan, this is the best element of this episode. This was the supernatural. This was the horror moment that I've been waiting for. Kevin Feige and the producers and the creators of the show said, hey, there were moments we were shooting these episodes and we want to, are we going to go further? Are we going to push that envelope? Well, they definitely push it. Now, by no means is this a rated R scene, but this is easily the most horrific scene that we've gotten in the MCU, as we see the protectors of the tomb cutting up one of Arthur's men. I mean, he literally pulls out, I want to say, their kidney, their heart, something internally, and puts it in the little case there. That was creepy, but more importantly, it was awesome for my horror fans out there. It reminded me so much of like The Descent, and also like The Last of Us, the way like the little clicking noise they make. Easily one of my favorite moments in the entire series, and the best moment of the show was seeing that creature protector cutting up that man and just setting the tone and the atmosphere. Kudos to the directors setting that in the episode. But this is where we get the creature spots them. They unfortunately get split up. We see yet again Layla. She can defend for herself. And again, a really cool moment and pretty graphic moment when she stabs the creature in the eye with the flare and she pushes him over the ledge. Really cool moment. Again, there are moments that I enjoy, but again, the forced romance and also getting back into just kind of the tone of this episode just kind of felt a little bit off. But meanwhile, while that's going on, we see that Steven comes across the lost tomb of Alexander the Great, which as that is being discovered, we cut back to Lila having a conversation with Arthur. And as I mentioned last week, I had theorized, knowing some of the stuff that goes on in the comics, that yes, Mark was there when those archaeologists got murdered, brutally executed, but he wasn't the trigger man. As, we see Arthur telling Lila that, when I checked his skills, that he was the reason of your father's death, being a part of the team. So immediately Lila's upset. She wants answers. We see while that's going on, Steven opens the tomb of Alexander, goes into its mouth, and he finds the actual imprisonment. He finds Ahmed, and they finally have them in their possession, and this is obviously where, again, there's a time and a place, Lila. You kiss Steven out of nowhere going on this adventure, and now you want to confront him, or I should say confront Mark about the death of your father. Take that outside. Go ahead, get the mission, go on to the mission, but she wants to have the conversation. She confronts, this is where Steven allows Mark to have the conversation, and this is very similar to the comic books, as we see Mark tells her, yes, I was there. I didn't kill your dad. I actually tried to save your dad and the other archaeologists, but it was my business partner that got greedy, that went ahead and killed them and ultimately tried to kill me, which is very spot for spot, page for page for what actually happens in the comics. As you all may or may not know, but in this moment, his partner he's referring to goes by the name of Raoul Bushman, who is one of the oldest nemesis in the comics. Now, I think we're going to get that flashback. I think we're going to actually see that scene. And I also think that Bushman will make an appearance in the show, not just from a flashback perspective, but in the comics, he's also resurrected, brought back. So I think Bushman will be a character. Now, it's only 2 episodes left, but I imagine we're going to get either that scene as a flashback and also see maybe like a post-credit that Bushman's still alive and still out there looking for his vengeance. Let me know what you all thought about that reveal. And do you think it was, if you're just like me, Lila, take that elsewhere. We can handle this after we get what we're here for. But it's in this moment that Arthur and his men, they find them. He talks about the freedom and how does it feel to be free from Kanju. And you have a decision, Mark. And Mark, we know him to be go out in the blaze of glory. He takes the axe that he finds, kills some of Arthur's men, but ultimately he ends up being shot in the chest. And, we see Arthur say, I can't help those that don't want to be free, don't want to help themselves. And this is where we see him fall into the water. And I think him falling into the water, going back to Horus, he is in the afterlife. And this is where we cut to, again, it's important to note that Lila has a med, so I think that she's going to go ahead and escape, and they're going to be chasing after her. her, but it's important that she has what they're looking for as far as the journey there. But I think it's safe to say that, the big question, is this reality? Is it in his head? Was he in this mental facility this whole time? I personally think, again, he's in the afterlife, and I think that in this afterlife, he's going to have to come to terms with Steven, Mark working together, but also they're going to probably discover who that third personality is, a la Jake, a la a new created personality. I think they're going to all have to work together, because if you've noticed in the previous 3 episodes, when Mark and Steven work together, they work, really good together. When we saw him using the tomb and giving Mark the information, they're going to have to come together and find their way out of this afterlife, or have someone help them out of this afterlife. But I think they're not in a mental facility. It is an afterlife. But let's go ahead and play with what the show has given us. If he is indeed in a mental facility, we see that this is where Mark is watching this movie, and it's like an Indiana Jones movie, and this is where we see that Stephen Grant is a smart individual, which, we know that Stephen's a smart individual, so he created this character in his mind. We see that he has a Moon Knight action figure. We also see the individuals within the show being placed into this mental facility, whether it's Lila, whether it's the police officers. We see that his golden friend is there. We see that the cops are there. So all the stuff, again, we're like, oh, so the cops, they're the leaders. They're the people that are giving them the pills. So it makes sense that they're in that position. Lila, his romance. So you're like, oh, okay. I'm not going to lie. Again, I don't think I don't think they're in a mental facility. It's the afterlife. But it did remind me a lot of Legion. If you all ever watched Legion, which was fantastic, Dan Stevens was so great in that show. It did give me some of those vibes there. But this is where we see Arthur is the doctor of Mark, and this is where Mark is looking around the office, and he notices the painting which he was found in episode 1 in that small village. He sees the Egyptian gods, and he also sees the cane, and this is where we see Mark is having like a mental breakdown, like, this isn't real. I know what all went down was in reality. I'm not in my head. He has this kind of moment. He freaks out. Arthur's trying to calm him down. We also see that Mark escapes his office, and this is where Mark finds Steven in a tomb, and they see each other. They meet each other for the first time, person in person, which I thought that scene was kind of cool. Whenever we get like the same actor playing themselves in a scene, and again, just speaking to the performance, that is one thing that has been extremely consistent of the show. Oscar Isaac's performance is like Emmy worthy, winning that award when it comes to that time of the year. But they ask each other, okay, what was the last thing you remember, Steven? And he confirms, I remember getting shot. And this is where, I don't know if you all noticed, when they're running out of that room, they run past another tomb. I think that tomb has the third identity, a la Jake or another character. But we end the episode on them running into the hippo god, Tort, which I believe is the hippo god. And we see Tort saying hi, and they're both screaming, freaking out. End of the episode. So again, taking away the things I enjoyed, that horror element with that creature, cutting that guy up was very cool, and just seeing the creepy scene of Lila and that creature fighting was a highlight for me, as well as the adventure, the journey, the mummy, Indiana Jones vibe that this episode had, and again, just playing into the whole mind-bending, episode-breaking, conversational piece of, was this made up the whole time? I can see the appeal, but I personally think no, he's not in a mental facility. He's in his own head, dealing with his frustrations, his life, his regrets. We might even get a scene where their mother is in there. We might get a scene where there is, Kanju in the flesh is there. I don't know, the actual actor's there, Frank Murray. So we might get those moments of like coming to grips with, we have to work together as a unit to get things done. And I don't know. There's rumors out there that Bruce Banner might make an appearance in the show, which would make sense considering that Bruce Banner is someone that deals with the personality of Bruce and Hulk and them being Professor Hulk, which I'm not a fan of. But I can see maybe Bruce maybe being involved in the show. If not, I'm okay with that. But overall, again, the relationship feels forced to me. The tonal shifts in this episode kind of felt inconsistent. But again, those are just my thoughts. I enjoyed it for the most part, but it's just not my favorite out of the 4. It's my least favorite out of the 4, but I still think that by episode 5 and 6, we're going to get some pretty cool things. Number one, the Third Identity, Kanju freeing him ASAP, and obviously seeing how they're going to take out Arthur and all that different stuff that we have ahead. So again, let me know your favorite moments, least favorite moments, and your thoughts, theories, and predictions about this episode and what you all hope to see in the weeks ahead. Again, just a friendly reminder that later today at 5 p.m. Central Time, myself, Amanda, and Chris will be going live, breaking down this 4th episode more in depth, sharing with you all more of our thoughts and theories, and of course, having a live discussion with you all. So again, that will be in the description below. Thank you for watching this review. If you can do me a favor, I would really appreciate it if you can like, share, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Hope you all enjoyed the review. Hope you're staying safe. See you later today in a live stream, as you can see on the screen now. Subscribe. Check out my other content. We'll catch you all on the next video.